good. So the overall championship coming into round 8, the first of the Brands Hatch rounds. A 2-point gap between Weaver and Cleland, Dowsett hanging on from Class D in third, and Rob Gravett leading Class A, but 15 points adrift overall. But Gravett was on pole at Brands, he headed the race, but his teammate was heavily involved behind. Tiffany Dell, the commentator.
Down on the Grand Prix circuit, then Gravett getting way out front, but now it's Harvey ahead of Smith. Rouse breathing easy. No, through. Smith comes back. He wants that third place straight back again, and he takes it off Harvey. Running a bit wide there, and Harvey maybe looking to get the place back. They touch, and Smith punted sideways. Harvey and he both head to the gravel trap, and well, that's a great shame to lose what looked a very promising battle between these two drivers out so early in the race. Mike Smith there, not getting out yet. Maybe, yes, he is going to try and escape from the gravel, but there's no escape from those gravel traps. We see it again now in slow motion. Smith a little bit slow out of Hawthorne's there because he did that overtaking manoeuvre, but Harvey not really getting even alongside in the braking zone before there's contact between the two. And really, I think Tim was being a bit over-ambitious there. Smith had the line. There we see Tim Harvey now clambering over the tire. Well, I'm sure they'll both have very, very different versions of what's just happened. But and into the tyre barriers, 2 BMWs. That was Godfrey Hall, I think, first in. That's the top of Paddock Hill, and a very bent BMW for Ian Forrest. That right at the top of Paddock Hill bend. There's tyres and debris all over the circuit. I should imagine this could well be a red flag situation, really. Those cars are going to take some moving. Ian Forrest, thankfully, getting out and walking away from his bent BMW, and Godfrey Hall already out of his car. And there you can see the damage, and I think this race will have to be stopped. Indeed, yes, there's the red flag that's shown at the start-finish line. They only show the red flag at the start-finish line. Drivers are warned about it by the black flag there being waved, and they won't be doing any overtaking now. In car with Jerry Barney being overtaken once, but overtaken twice.
Black flag now, man. You don't have to ram me.
I think Jerry's got the message over to his fellow competitors. Here we see the excellent rescue services in action, but here we see Godfrey Hall heading towards the barriers. The wheels actually were locked up from well before impact, and I think coming over the slight crest at Paddock, the cars do go light. He probably locked his rear wheels and lost control. Now back to the gravel trap. These cars, if they can get them back on the grid, could be re-racing.
Well, we're going to see if we can get another chance. I guess. I don't know what the rules are, we're going to check on it, but if I can get this back, we will get going again. That was a stupid manoeuvre on Tim's part. I'd have never seen him driving like that.
In you get.
Driver!
He wants it all his own way. He wants to have the room to overtake, but he doesn't want it to give the room anybody else. It's just ridiculous. Anyway. I'm not the first person to have clashed swords with Mike Smith this year, and I don't suppose I'll be the last. It's just amazing how often he's involved, and it's never his fault.
Well, every driver always has his opinion, and here we see this slow motion again, and certainly Smith is ahead, he's on the right line, and it's Harvey that batters into the rear wing of Smith's car, just really at the beginning of the braking area. This time it really was Mike's line, I'm afraid, Tim.
Restart race, once again Gravett out front, and Mike Smith mounting a really strong challenge on Andy Rouse.
Through Drew, it's bumper to bumper. Smith really driving a very sensible race at the moment. He's waiting for Rouse to maybe slide a little wide once too often, and he's going to be through here in a good position to overtake up to 30s. But no, Rouse, I said no, but Mike Smith sees an opportunity, saw the door left open. He didn't refuse the invitation. In he goes. In car with Andy Rouse, dropped down to third place. This long haul, the only straight you really get at Brands Hatch, fifth gear as they approach Hawthorne's, down to fourth. Into this 110-mile-an-hour corner. Rouse accelerating hard now in fourth. He's going to brake and drop to third for Westfield. Smith easing away all the time. So really that was a good overtaking manoeuvre, very cleanly done by Mike Smith, and he's up into an excellent, he leaps over Dingle Dell. That's the curve that you shouldn't go over, Mike, and you can see now how Andy Rouse has suddenly closed back up on again Mike, because he just clipped that curve. But again, Rouse sliding wide, working very, very hard indeed. Clearways, again, third gear. Mike takes a very neat line through, Andy Rouse follows as close as he can, but now it's a cartel 1-2. As these Australian imported Sierras show Andy Rouse the way. There's been a battle between these Dick Johnson prepared cars that come up from Australia to challenge the all-conquering Andy Rouse engineering cars, which of course Rouse runs, and so do the Labatt's team. So it's a Rouse car third and fourth, but it's the Yokohama tired team out front. Here, midfield battle, there's still plenty. That's Lawrence Bristow coming well up the field. Jerry Marnie ahead of him, and ahead of Marnie, Dave Pinkney, who suddenly pulls to the side. Pinkney going very well, the best he's run for a while, but he's just pulled off wide as Bristow tries the long outside line. It's a very difficult line to take, and it doesn't pay off. And Mike O'Brien looks to come up and retake Lawrence Bristow, but Lawrence really stormed up through the field, up to 12th place, right from the back of the grid, through all the Class Ds, Cs, and even up past the BMWs. So Lawrence Bristow, a charging drive. He's had a trying day, but now he's looking to get this place off Marnie. Marnie, of course, a front runner last year, but not so far this year. Up front, though, we have Smith and Rouse. Rouse still keeping a look at Smith's rear of the Sierras. Gravett's disappearing further and further away, but Andy would like that place back if possible. Back the field we go, and here we see again Bristow chasing after Marnie, looking on the inside of Surtees and shoveling Marnie around. Marnie goes wide, Bristow looks to the left. I don't think that's on Lawrence, but it is on. Lawrence, who is charging through. He's driven so well this year. Of course, I enjoyed sharing a win with him at Donington, and now he's charging through the field. He's not going to win this one, but he's going to get a long way at this rate. So Bristow moves up to 11th. Into paddock. Marnie, as I've said, he's been playing around with tyres this year. Last year he was up the front. Now he's switched to Pirellis, but he hasn't quite got the car handling to the way he likes on these tyres. Bristow and the Andy Rouse engineering car, though, he's on Pirellis as well, pulling away from Marnie and looking up the field for 7th, 8th or 9th places. And Lawrence, steady. That's going wide out of Graham Hill Bend. Down midfield, we see there the Maserati Bi-Turbo make a return to the series, Nick May, but obviously in trouble as Smith and Rouse go past. This battle for second place still being waged, and it's a very tricky track. It's a long, hard race in this heat, but Rouse following Smith. Smith there having to get the back markers. This is where experience, of course, is going to tell. Andy Rouse knows a lot about overtaking back markers, and Mike Smith relatively inexperienced compared with Rouse, and there you see he's lost the speed coming out of Surtees. Rouse is looking up the inside, and Mike gives him space, and certainly that was gently driving by Mike. He did give Rouse the space. Smith lost time overtaking the back marker left-hander. He didn't have the speed out towards clearways. Rouse pounced on the moment, and through he goes to take second place back off Smith. So can Smith now counter-attack through paddock? And Rouse sliding wide. Gravett there we see flash through the picture into Druids. Quite a fair lead. And Smith now is all to do again. We've seen this picture before. And there we see Lawrence Bristow. He's sliced past Carl Jones. And in the background also Mike Newman. So that's two more Sierras he's overtaken after we saw him get past Marnie. And he's now right up into 8th place and going very strongly indeed. From the back of the grid, Lawrence Bristow up to 8th. Out of Druids, down through Graham Hill Bend. Again using every inch of the track, and this time not that extra bit. Behind him we see the BMW boys still doing battle for the Class B honours. Of course now Weaver well in front of the championship ahead of Sytner in Class B, so really Sytner now should be holding station. But however much you have agreements before the race, drivers never trust drivers. But Frank seems to be a lot more friendly than he was at the beginning of the year. Down to Hawthorns. The 6-speed gearbox is used in these BMWs. 6th down to 5th for Hawthorns. And we see really sitting up, not really working as hard as he was at the beginning of the year. And these two now in convoy and mainly trying to make sure that Weaver wins the class, has fastest lap, and makes enough points for this championship challenge that they're putting up. Up to Dingle Dell. James Weaver going so well. Frank Sytner following behind. On there, sadly, that's one of the Sierras out. That's Graham Good, who who was running in the top 10, but sadly the end of the race, and a spin. Nick May having more problems with the Maserati, and he's right on the apex. He wants a push. He's stalled the car, and our marshals as ever moving forward to help out. In car with Guy having a very big moment there, under braking for Surtees that is, and trying to get the right gear, dumping the clutch, the wheels spin, opposite lock, so a little bit of a moment under braking for Guy Edwards, who nevertheless is holding down a very consistent and steady 5th place. Gravett though well out front. There we see the order: Gravett, Rouse, Smith, Harvey, Edwards 5th, and Mike Newman going well in 6th. Well, we say Harvey, but Harvey there we see the very battered and bent, war-torn Sierra. Obviously a bit of a problem for Tim, and maybe some damage has caused some engine trouble or overheating. So that's the end of Harvey's challenge. But here we have Rob Gravett on the last lap through Hawthorns, and it's been a very, very good drive. We haven't seen much of him, but he's made the most of his very well-prepared Trackstar team car. He's made the most of his Yokohama tyres, which have obviously come good this weekend, as we've seen. Mike Smith doing such a strong supporting performance in this team, and really this swing-swung battle between Andy Rouse there, not giving up, whereas we see Rob Gravett virtually cruising to the line. Andy Rouse is going to try all he can right to the last minute, and certainly Gravett's lost a lot of his lead over the last laps as Gravett's toured in, but Rouse in his charge has dropped Mike Smith behind a bit. Smith, although still heading for an excellent 3rd, but it's Rob Gravett who steals the honours. A very good win indeed, ahead of Rouse. And there, the Trackstar team cheering Mike Smith over for a very good 3rd place indeed. And Lawrence Bristow charged up. He eventually got 6th place.
Lawrence Bristow's charge through the field emphasised also the pace, power and fierce competition among the Class A cars. Bristow in 6th place behind Mike Newman. The Caliber team had taken 2nd and 4th, but the Trackstar team were 1st and 3rd with Rob Gravett and Mike Smith. Snetterton the next round, Rob Gravett heading for another victory, and 2 laps to go. It's Rouse and Harvey battling for 2nd.
In car again with Tim, and Tim working really hard indeed. There's no worry about tyre grip now, it's go for everything you've got. There's only a couple of laps left, and Tim wants that 2nd place. Gravett still has the problems of back markers to get past inside the Vauxhall tandem. And all 3 leaders bottling up as we lead up to the last lap. Harvey working hard to stay on Rouse's tail, following him through the holes. Rouse punching the holes in the back markers, and Tim Harvey staying right on his bumper and following him through. Gravett looks safe out front at the moment, and Harvey all over the back of Andy Rouse, into Russell. Again, we're back over those curbs again. Harvey more so than Rouse on this occasion. So Rob Gravett has the breathing space. It's really all about 2nd place at the moment between Rouse and Harvey through Riches. Both cars out onto the rumble strips. This time Rouse blocks to the right. He doesn't want Harvey coming through on the inside again. Gravett is safe. Harvey now tries to concentrate on getting the power down, having forced Andy onto the inside. Andy a bit slower out of Sear, and Harvey now right in his slipstream as they come up to the S's. Down the straight, Harvey looking up the inside, a late manoeuvre on the brakes. Rouse is hanging on around the outside. Side by side they are. Will Tim hold on? No, he had to give way to Rouse. Rouse had the inside line for the right-handed corner. He holds the 2nd place. Through the bomb hole, into Coram now. Rouse a little bit of a breathing space. Again, more back markers ahead, but there's going to be no problems. It's only Russell Corner before the flag, and another victory for Rob Gravett. The Trackstar team really coming out on top at the moment. A win for Gravett. Rouse fighting in 2nd, and a very good drive from Harvey in 3rd.
4th win of the season for Rob Gravett, but only a 2nd covering the first 3. Will Hoy in 4th, making it another excellent race for the Trackstar team. Lawrence Bristow 5th, Sean Walker 6th. Class A is certainly where the racing is and where the interest is. And Gravett, against a lot of expectations, seems to have taken a grip on the competition. An 18-point lead over Rouse, and Rouse-prepared cars fill the next 2 places. So after 9 rounds, it's still a 2-point gap between Weaver of Class B and Cleland of Class C, with Rob Gravett having moved up to 3rd overall and leading the field round the warm-up lap for round 10 at Brands Hatch.
It is very hot. Brands Hatch is a superb circuit with just about every kind of corner and gradient. There are 6 very closely matched Ford Sierra Cosworths in the front 3 rows of the rolling grid using 3 different makes of tyre. And Andy Rouse on the left is in pole position. This will be good. Into Paddock Bend, it's Rouse leading, Gravett second, Brodie in third place, Lawrence Bristow is fourth. Now up Halewood Rise into Druids, and Van Cowan runs very wide indeed. Now we're looking back from Rob Gravett's car. Brodie's ahead, that's Lawrence Bristow immediately behind. He's in fourth position. So now, out of Druids, there they go, the Class C and D men. And somebody's hit Rossiter, Rossiter's Astra, there it is, pushed out of the race. And now, down they go, round Graham Hill Bend, and there's another one. It's Jerry Marney. Jerry Marney's Ford Sierra out. And at Surtees, they stream round that Sean Walker. And ahead of him, it's Rouse, Brodie, Gravett, Bristow. Over the crest, Pilgrim's Drop. And Gravett takes Brodie up into second place. Now we look back, and that is Dave Brodie right behind us at 120 miles an hour. Into Hawthorne Bend and out of it. Down to Westfield, and you can just see Bristow's car behind in fourth position. There it is, and he's challenging. Lawrence Bristow challenging Dave Brodie, who holds third position. So it's Cosworth's, first, second, third, fourth, Stirling's Bend, Rouse, Gravett, Brodie smoking a bit. Lawrence Bristow behind him in fourth position. On to Clearways, where with Lawrence Bristow, watch his gear changes. Up into fifth, back into third. And ahead it's Rouse, the leader. Gravett in second place. Dave Brodie, they're well spread out. Down the Brabham Straight. 130 miles an hour. Over the line. Rouse, Gravett. Into Paddock. And that's Thomas Bencera, the Czechoslovakian driver, in the blue car, being chased by Carl Jones. 9th and 10th. Jerry Marney back in the race. And here's what happened on Cooper Street. Ahead is Graham Good. Jerry drifts a bit, hits the grass, loses traction, spins off. But he'll be back. Surtees Bend, Andy Rouse right behind him, Rob Gravett. And not so far behind them, Dave Brodie, Lawrence Bristow, Mike Smith, there they are, all together. And as Mike Smith chases them down Pilgrim's Drop, Bristow goes past Brodie, up into third position. And there is Andy Rouse, chasing in Rob Gravett. Now the gap. 3 together. Bristow is the third man, but here are the leaders. And Rob Gravett is pushing Andy Rouse very hard indeed. Out of Westfield, onto Dingle Dell, through Dingle Dell corner. Right, left, right, and leaping over the curbing, it's Bristow. Carl Jones goes off and out of the race, parks alongside the Armco. The leaders on their way to Clearways, and here they are, Rob Gravett attacking Andy Rouse at 130 miles an hour as they go down the Brabham Straight over the line. Rouse leads, Gravett second, Bristow in third position. Then it's Brodie, Smith, Guy Edwards into Paddock. And now Mike Smith is right up with Dave Brodie. Fourth position, Rouse, Gravett, Bristow, Brodie and Mike Smith attacking in the red and white Sierra round Druids. In car with Mike Smith down to Graham Hill Bend. Third gear, 85 miles an hour. Up towards Surtees, the left-hander. Mike going through the gears. Got a bit of loose trim on the bumper there. Over the crest, out of Surtees. Brodie runs a bit wide, and this is Mike Smith's opportunity. Has he lost it because he had momentum there? But Dave Brodie stays ahead, but not for very much longer because Smith is going through. No, he's not. Brodie holds him off as they go into the right-hander, and now down the short straight to Westfield. Brodie and Smith ahead of them. Rouse, Gravett, Bristow. Terrific scrap here for fourth position. And you can see Bristow, there he is as he goes through Stirling's, the left-hander. Third, fourth and fifth, almost together. Here are the leaders. Rob Gravett slingshotting out of the right-hander at Clark Curve. Down the straight, he tucks in very tight to the Armco. Into paddock, Rouse, the leader. Gravett in second place. Now then, Rob Gravett's won 4 races already. Andy Rouse has won 3 races. Is he going to even it by staying ahead of Rob Gravett? They're coming out of Druids. Dropping down to Graham Hill Bend. Rob Gravett in an ideal position to attack here. He's close up behind the wing of Andy Rouse's car as they go into Surtees, the left-hander. He's going through on the inside. Rob Gravett taking the lead from Andy Rouse. He's got the line. Andy has to run wide. Look back, there he is. 145 miles an hour. Pilgrims to Hawthorne, the right-hander, which they're approaching now, underneath the bridge. This is Hawthorne. There is Andy Rouse behind in second position. You can read the word Andy on his number plate. Now, from Hawthorne's to Westfield, the right-hander. Look at this. Terrific. You can see Andy Rouse's car pitching on the suspension. Now this is Dingle Dell, through Dingle Dell corner. Over the curb, over the curb, over the curb. Now down to the left-hander at Stirling's. From Stirling's down into Clearways. And Rob Gravett is leading. Is he going to stay ahead? No, he's not, because Andy Rouse goes through. And Rob Gravett slows down. What has happened? He slowed right down. And now Bristow goes past to second place past Rob Gravett. Dave Brodie and Mike Smith go past third and fourth, and poor Rob Gravett is going to be out of the race. He's touring alongside the pits. And he pulls off. Why? Well, who knows? The car looks all right. This is how Andy Rouse saw it. Just a puff of smoke from Gravett's car there. Closes right up on the Ford and past. What on earth happened?
The gear lead was broken, the gearbox was broken. So that was it, no gears.
And that is rotten luck for Rob, who was certainly looking good for a 5th win. So now, Rouse leads, Bristow second, Brodie third, Smith fourth, Edwards 5th, and Sean Walker in 6th place, and somebody off. It's Dave Pinkney's Sierra, and that looks like a very expensive bit of Armco thumping. All the bodywork battered. Is Dave Pinkney battered? No, he's not. He's out of the car. He's perfectly all right. And there's another one. John Clark's BMW M3, and that is an excellent recovery. 2 more BMWs there. Number 35, Ian Forrest, giving last year's British champion Frank Sytner a very hard time. Battling for second in Class B with the BMW of James Weaver ahead of them, leading the class. Sytner, Forrest. And there ahead is James Weaver, class leader and championship leader in his BMW. Druids, great fight for second place. Bristow's got it at the moment. Brodie just behind it. This is Mike Smith, down to Graham Hill Bend at well over 100 miles an hour. And Mike is still recovering from a broken ankle from that very nasty helicopter crash. Down into second gear for the left-hander at Surtees. Brodie, Mike Smith tucked right up behind him. Brodie's gone onto the curb. Now Mike Smith's opportunity. He's got the momentum. Can he get through? There's Dave Brodie in front. And he staves Mike Smith off as they go into Hawthorne. So it's still Bristow, Brodie, Mike Smith. And it looks as though they're catching Lawrence Bristow in second position. That's the winner of the 1-hour race at Donington, the man who drove with Tiffany Dell. But through Dingle Dell they go, lapping number 83, the veteran Tony Lanfranchi in the Astra. 1, 2, 3, past Lanfranchi they go, and Guy Edwards is catching Mike Smith. Down to Clearways, Rouse is still ahead, Bristow second, Brodie third, Smith fourth, Guy Edwards in 5th position. Into paddock, now there is Rouse. Here is the battle for second position, Bristow, Brodie and Smith. 7 laps to go, and Smith and Brodie most definitely are catching Lawrence Bristow in the Blue Sierra. Up to Druids, number 6, Bristow, second place. Brodie takes a look on the right-hand side, dodges back, hugs the curb. Bristow runs very wide on the exit, and they're gives Dave Brodie the chance to close up. He's right up alongside him, going round the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. He's still there as they come up to Surtees, but Bristow has got the inside line, and surely he must get away. But no, Brodie is hanging on, and Mike Smith is going through behind him too. Brodie goes up into second place. Mike Smith goes up into third. We're riding with Lawrence Bristow. There goes Brodie. There is Smith. And he is through up into third position. And so in just a few yards, Lawrence Bristow has gone down from second to fourth, with Smith and Brodie ahead of him. Wow. There they go, second, third, fourth, but now it's Brodie, Smith and Bristow and Edwards. There is Guy Edwards in fifth place, and he's gaining on the three ahead as they go through to lap Les Lydiard's Toyota. And just look how close Guy Edwards is. Now we're in car with Lawrence Bristow. Immediately ahead is Mike Smith. Just ahead of him is Dave Brodie. Down the Brabham Straight at 130 miles an hour on towards Paddock Bend. Down through the gears, tuck in tight to the apex, hit the apex, but Bristow's dropping back a bit as they go up Halewood Rise into Druids. Number 19, Dave Brodie. He's had his problems this season. He's got one now. It's Mike Smith, and that's Alan Minshaw retiring his Volkswagen Golf, and it looks as though the right front tyre is rubbing the bodywork. Now that's Ray Arms, that's another retirement, the Honda Civic, but I must say he hasn't parked in a very sensible place. He's right on the tarmac on the Brabham Straight. Couldn't he have pulled over further onto the grass? And the leaders are bearing down on him. Rouse has gone by, there's Brodie chased by Smith, and Bristow has got Edwards right in his slipstream. Guy Edwards putting across to try and pass Bristow, and he only just misses Arms' Honda Civic. That was a very close thing, and Guy Edwards goes through. Edwards up into fourth position, but not for long. He's run very wide indeed, out onto the runoff, and Lawrence Bristow is back in fourth. Number 6 Bristow up into fourth position, and Guy Edwards has got it all to do again. Coming down to Graham Hill Bend. Along the bottom straight, so cool, into Surtees, and Guy Edwards is doing it. He's back with Bristow already. Pilgrim's Drop. Brodie and Smith are catching Jeff Kimber Smith's Toyota. Behind them, Bristow and Edwards. Out of Hawthorne. Brodie past Kimber Smith. Smith past Kimber Smith. No, he's lost it! And Kimber Smith hits him. That contact, that is a big one. Thomas Metzera goes through. And that was so sudden, I suspect something broke. And from the look of that wheel, it was the rear suspension. And Guy Edwards is out too. Andy Rouse's teammate. Mike Smith getting out of the car. What a pity, because that was a great drive. And you can see how he's still limping. Mike looks at the car, and now here's a replay. In car with Mike Smith. Chasing Dave Brodie, catching Jeff Kimber Smith's Toyota. Brodie in front. Brodie goes past, Smith goes past, loses it, fights it, but that was most certainly not Mike Smith's fault. And the innocent Jeff Kimber Smith powers on to the body shop. So, how did Kimber Smith see that big crunch? Just like this. We're with it, there goes Brodie. And whoops, there's Mike Smith. Off onto the grass, but no problem. On we go. And Jeff Kimber Smith shakes his head. I bet that made his glasses, mister. And now the adopted Australian Thomas Metzera, the winner of last year's Bathurst 1000 and a Brands Hatch racing instructor, is in third place. Number 6, Lawrence Bristow, his teammate ahead of him. So this is a great race for the two Labatt's men. They are almost together, second and third, Bristow and Metzera, the two blue cars. Last lap, Andy Rouse, the man from Warwickshire, has led every lap. And he's going to win. He's put up the fastest lap of 100.27 miles an hour. He's just lapped Mike O'Brien, number 17 there. He's got his headlights blazing to let the people know he's coming through. Into Dingle Dell corner for the last time. Up to Stirling's for the last time. He's now just got that little short straight after Stirling's as the back of the car steps out and Andy corrects it to go into the right-hander at Clearways, which leads into Clark Curve. Another win for the touring car champion of champions, Andy Rouse, but even more important than that, 9 points for victory.
So Andy Rouse levels the score over Rob Gravett, 4 wins apiece. Excellent race for the Labatt's team, second and third via Bristow and Mazeira. Sean Walker 4th, Mike Newman 5th, and Graham Good 6th. Rouse engineered cars filling the first 3 places, and it could have been 4 if Guy Edwards hadn't joined Mike Smith in the Westfield gravel trap.
Smithy's suspension broke, and I had nowhere to go. I had to spin to avoid him. Otherwise, I'd have collected him too.
I'm very sorry.
No, it wasn't your fault, was it? I mean, it wasn't. Yeah,
No.
It looked like your wheel collapsed.
Yeah.
Or something like that, so, you know, it's a pity, because I think we had a good chance of finishing behind Andy there.
It may be 4 wins apiece, but it's Rob Gravett ahead of Andy Rouse in the Class A Championship. 8 points the difference, Harvey and Bristow 3rd and 4th.